Hi, everybody. This is the Mingled Yarncast, and I am your host, Stephen, also known as KnitFen on Instagram and Ravelry. And today, what we're going to be talking about are muses. What are your sources of inspiration? I'm going to share with you a few of mine, and as we go along, I would love to hear what some of yours are. But before we do that, I owe you an apology because I have not been posting very regularly, and I didn't intend for it to be so long. I looked at the my previous notes and I realized, oh my God, it's been 2 months, more than 2 months since I put up my last video, and the reason is life, things get in the way. Um, but in particular, it's the end of the school year, and I am in charge of a lot of the senior activities, or I'm in charge of some, and I help out with all of them. And that includes senior trip to Virginia Beach. So I've been to Virginia Beach recently. That was a lot of fun. In fact, let me post a knitting pic or two, or maybe even a reel here. There we go. That was fun. And so we went to Virginia Beach for the senior trip. It's always a good time when we're down there. We go to Busch Gardens. We go to Water Country USA, although we did not do that this year. We normally do. We went to the aquarium instead, which is very nice. Spend a day at the beach. Yeah, it's just very relaxed and chill, and it's nice for the kids to end their senior year that way. We then had prom, which is a lot of fun. And then after prom, what's next? Senior awards. I am in charge of that too. And this week, just this past week, on Thursday, we had graduation. We still have 2 more days of school though, this coming week. So I have no excuses after this. I should be posting a little more regularly. Also during this time, my parents came to visit over Memorial Day weekend. That was a lot of fun. Another thing that I did recently was I attended the National or International Knit in Public Day at Bryant Park with the NYC Knitters, organized by Miguel Bonilla. And there I met with Miguel and many others who were part of the group. Seemed like, I want to say there were like 30 or more of us there in Bryant Park on that sunny day. It was very nice. I also got to meet Cairo Romagera. I think I pronounced that correctly. Apologies if I didn't, Cairo. But in any case, getting to cross paths with people I have only known online, and fun to meet them finally in person, and to meet plenty of other new people that I didn't know at all. So it was a great experience, and it was a great vibe there in the park that day. So a lot has been going on, and I just haven't been recording. So please forgive me. Please keep watching, and let's talk some knitting, shall we? Okay, so here's what's up first today. Actually, let me check my notes because I don't necessarily remember what's up first today. Ah, yes. Okay. So, in the last episode, I showed you the Osaka socks that I made while in Japan, and I've continued to modify that pattern and have a little fun with it. As I mentioned in the previous episode, there I took a pattern that is my basic sock pattern, which is one that I got for free off of Ravelry. I will link to it below. And I just modified it enough that I think that I can call it my own. And people in the comments in the last video agreed. They said, you know, tip your hat to the originator, the original creator, and then, you know, build on it, because that's what all of these designs are, right? Nobody's inventing the wheel. But this new one is even more different. It has the same swirl motif design. I don't know what it's called. But includes some laciness. So let's take a look, shall we? Here is the sock. I've got it on a nice sock blocker. Do any of you use sock blockers to actually block the socks? Because, like, I don't. I just figure they're going to take the shape of my foot or the person's foot I'm giving it to. But in terms of displaying them in moments like this, they are nice. So, in fact, let me just show you. Here's what this sock blocker looks like without the socks on it. Ooh, isn't that pretty? And I will put the link to the person who made this. I believe she's in Poland. Um, and here's another one. It's a smaller size. I love it though. But anyway, yeah, I believe she's in Poland, and I saw her work on Instagram. Oh, a couple of years ago. I guess it was kind of at the early part of the lockdowns during 2020. And I bought them then, and I use them all the time now. But anyway, let's go back to the sock. So here we go. I don't know how well it shows up. Yeah, you can kind of see the holes here, right? So it's a lacy motif, and the holes spiral down. There we go. Now you can see it. And it was fun figuring out how to do that. I just took some techniques from it was the Lava Lake Stephen West shawl, similar kind of use of the slip knit yarn over, and doing that in just a way that causes it to go diagonally. Which, since it's a round sock, when it's on your foot, it will swirl. And that's that so far. I've got one done. So this is a whip and a half. It's partial finished object, partial whip. Here's the next one that's coming along. And and I should say too, that, can you see it here? Yeah, the swirls go in different directions. So this one is a yarn over slip knit, and this one is a knit two together yarn over pattern. So it'll go, when they're on your feet, when they're on my feet, it'll go whoosh and swirl in opposite directions. So looking forward to that. And I will write that pattern up too. I know I keep saying this, and I haven't written any of them yet, but like I said, after Tuesday, I have no excuses. All of these things that I purport to be doing, I shall be doing, because I will have time to do them. And I'm looking forward to that. So this yarn, you know what? I don't remember where I got it, who I bought it from, what it's called. I lost the label somewhere along the line, and I apologize for that, because I always want to give credit where it's due, and I will try to find it. Perhaps when I get this done, and in the next episode or two, I will show you both of these when they're finished, and I will let you know if I can find it. But anyway, so that is number one for today. Oh, and the Muse. So yeah, this episode is about muses. Where do you draw the inspiration from? For me, the inspiration with this was just simply play. Just wanting to play with the yarn, play with the idea, and see if I could make it happen. And I did, and I love it. But really just having fun and not worrying so much about the product. But the muse of play was my muse for this one. Now, for my second finished object. Yes. Okay. This is the Birds of a Feather shawl. Now, let me see the best way to show you this. Isn't that gorgeous? Woo! It's really, really big. So, and it's it starts down here when you're making it, and you get that little tag that grows and grows and grows, and these gorgeous right angles start to appear, and these beautiful alternating sort of garter stripes with feather and fan lacy bits. You see that okay? Yeah. Now, I know a lot of people have made this shawl, and because I've seen your work online, and if you have, then you will say to me, Stephen, you're supposed to have done that with different weights of yarn. I think it calls for like a fingering weight and lace weight mohair. or in the fingering weight wool, lace weight mohair, something like that. Anyway, yes, it is supposed to be that way according to the pattern. The reason why I didn't do that really just has to do with the fact of the colors and the yarn. Because once I found the yarn I wanted to work with, it was a matter of finding the pattern. And even though the pattern and the yarn weren't a perfect match for each other based on the way the pattern is written, I still felt like it'll work with this. And I had others to tell me that it would be it would be fine too. In fact, there are other people who have made this without doing the mohair. So, whatever. But the design is Birds of a Feather. It's by Andrea Mowry. I don't know if I said her name. Very popular designer. And this is the first piece that I've ever done that was designed by her. And it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. The yarn came from Woolen Women Fibers, and it is, I believe, 80% merino and 20% cashmere. The colorway, or the color series, or color set, kit, is called Serene Summer. So you have these beautiful, and let me see if I can get the colors just right. You can see the blue-green. Yeah, I've never gotten the pictures of this just right, because when I'm looking at the computer screen right now, that looks very blue, but in person, it has more green to it. I mean, it is a blue-green, but it's more green in real life. The sandy blondie part, that does look pretty accurate in the video. But anyway, so a couple of muses for this one. Well, first of all, the colors. I wanted something beachy and summery, and I was looking around. I wanted to do something sort of ocean themed, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But I was looking around online, and there were so many things that were good, but nothing was like just right. And then I saw Irina Shar from Fiber Chats had posted about this exact set of yarns, and it's like, oh, that's it. That's what I want. And so I reached out to Woolen Women Fibers and asked them if those were available, and they were. So I got them, and I couldn't have been more pleased. They're really, really beautiful, and the yarn is super soft, especially after blocking it. I mean, even before blocking it was super soft, but now it's luxurious. Anyway, the reason I wanted to do an ocean-themed piece at all was because, and this is my second muse, and if you've followed me on Instagram, then you know already. Let me put this on properly. That I am a huge, huge fan, huge devotee of the music of Tori Amos. She's been somebody who I've listened to since my teenage years. I mean, really, like, ever since her first album. Second album, I think, is really when I discovered her, 93 or 4. And so it's a good 30 years of listening to her music, and all of my life, and through all of the difficult moments of life, she has a song. At least for me, for my life, she has a song for the moment that I'm going through. Up to the present. I mean, like, the issues, the things that bothered me when I was a teenager, they don't bother me anymore. I don't go to her music for the same reasons anymore. Sometimes it's nostalgic. I'll hear that song that meant a lot to me in my teenage years, and even though I don't resonate, in terms of what I'm going through at the moment, I'm like, oh yeah, the Steven of 95, he was going through these things, and the song sits well and makes me reflect and think. But then there are the things that I'm going through now as a 45-year-old, and her music still speaks to me, and I think that's pretty cool. A lot of musicians don't have a 30-plus year career and don't continue to make good music as well, and she has. And she is going to be performing in New York this week, Wednesday and Thursday, at the Beacon Theater, so I'm going to be at both of those performances. And usually, she will have some means or another of delivering letters and gifts and things like that to her. So, yes, I am that person. I did make this shawl for Tori Amos. I did. I know that sounds like adolescent and a little corny. I know. But that's just who I am. People, come on. That's who I am. But anyway, her current album and her current tour is called the the album is Ocean to Oceans, and this is the Ocean to Ocean tour. So this is the Ocean to Ocean shawl. Now does it all make sense? We have beaches, we have arrows, we have waves, we have cool lines and parallels, and it's all a metaphor, right? It's all a metaphor for life. So I'm going to try to give this to her. I hope that there will still be some means. Last year I was able to deliver a letter, and you know, I didn't have a shawl ready for her, but this year I'm hoping she'll enjoy it. Anyway, that's my muse. That's my muse for this shawl anyway. Tori Amos. Bless her. Okay. Now, what am I currently working on? Well, there's the sock, but I put the sock down for a moment because there's something that has more of a deadline to it that I want to get done. So my next travel is going to be to France in just about 2.5 weeks. And I thought, oh, shoot, I need to have something to wear in France. And it's going to be summer, it's going to be hot. And I had also, in sort of, as I'm thinking about what kind of hot weather, lightweight top would I like to make, I bought the most recent copy of the Journal of Scottish Yarns. And if you haven't checked that out, you really should. The journal is beautiful, and you can order it digitally too, so you can get it instantly and look at it on your computer or your phone or wherever you look at things like that. And anyway, the journal has beautiful artwork, beautiful, well-written articles on all kinds of different topics. Each issue, there's 3 so far. They're kind of generally centered around a theme, although there are some articles that deviate from the theme. But the major center theme of this issue is linen, and specifically about the linen trade in Scotland. Now, this is all sounding very academic, I know. They also have incredibly beautiful patterns in there as well. And for this issue, they are, of course, patterns that are focused on using linen, although you can substitute anything you want, I'm sure. But anyway, I was already thinking to myself, lightweight. Everybody tells me linen or flax is a lightweight summertime kind of material. I thought, well, let me try it, because I've never played around with that before. So I ordered some. And anyway, I was already having this thought, and then I read these articles, and I just thought, well, you know what? This is what it's supposed to be, so let me do that. And anyway, I ordered some flax. Here we go. Like 9 or 10 of these. And I did not have a pattern to work with. I'm just basically doing what I would do to make a sweater, but I'm going to make the sleeves end here. And I want it to be a Henley type shirt. That's why I wore this shirt. This is my my model for what I want to do, because I want it to have a little bit of an opening here. And I don't know if I'll put buttons or not, but to just have that breathing space. And I'm doing this a lot with my hands in this episode, aren't I? I don't know why. But anyway, this is 100% linen, and it is by Fibra Natura. And I don't know a whole lot more about it besides that. It's made in Turkey. So anyway, if you have ever used linen, I would love for you to comment about your experience with it. I'm enjoying it, but it's very different than wool. So, you know, this wool and cashmere is pretty stretchy. Pretty stretchy, right? And this, I mean, it's got some stretch to it because I'm doing it in stockinette, but when I, just look at the fiber itself, you can see that it doesn't have a whole lot of give to it. So that made me go, as I'm making this sweater, and I've got the, check it out. I've got the waist already completed. So as I'm working on this, I'm conscious of the fact that it might not have the kind of stretch and give to it, the ease, the negative ease, the positive ease. I'm never sure which term is the right one, but anyway, that it's got to be a little bigger than I would normally would. I do like to have a tight clinging shirt. It's true, and I don't know that this will be that shirt, but that's fine, because what I want it for is to have something that I've made in France, and I want to wear it in particular, because I should tell you too, I say I'm going to France, starting off in Bordeaux. This is a food and wine tour. I'm super, super excited. But we're starting in Bordeaux, and then working our way through the Dordogne region, and that will include a visit to the Lascaux caves. And if you're not familiar with those, you should look them up. In fact, I'll put a link. In fact, I'll put a picture right here, because this is one of the places in the world where there's cave paintings that go back, I think it's like 11,000 years. It's a very, very long time. And I know it's the kind of thing that I'm going to go in there and I'm going to be overwhelmed and I'm probably going to cry. So I wanted to have something nice. I wanted to make something as I'm entering into this place where it really is kind of one of the earliest extant examples of human creativity. I mean, there may be others, but it's super ancient, and it's going to be really, really cool. So at first, I wanted to, show off a little bit and do something with some tricks and bells and whistles, some lace, some this, that, the other. However, and I also should show you, where is it? One moment. I'm sorry if I just showed you my butt. I didn't mean to. Vogue Knitting, the Ultimate Stitch Dictionary. I recently got this about a week or two ago, and I love it. I've been going through it, and I wanted to find a stitch pattern that I could work into this t-shirt, and I found some, and I tried them out, but they just weren't working out. And also, I'd never worked with linen before, so I didn't know. For example, check this out. I'm doing this on US 5 needles. Okay, so it's not huge. And by the way, the gauge, 24 stitches and times 28 rows equals 4 inches on US 5. So it does not matter how tightly I'm pulling on this thing to get the gauge. I can't get the gauge. They made that up. That's not the real gauge. Because the best I can do when I'm, like I say, pulling it really tight, is 18 per 4 inches. So I don't know. But anyway, can you see me through it? It's a little meshy, right? And I like that. I wanted something like that. It's not entirely see-through, but it'll breathe. But anyway, look down here. This is 1 by 1 rib. And you see how far apart those are? And the way the purl, those purl ladder lines, with wool, it kind of closes up. But with this fiber, because it's so austere, it doesn't close up. Those stitches go where you tell them to go, and they stay put. It's very obedient, this yarn, but it doesn't work with you. It's going to do what it's going to do, and it's not going to let you fudge it. And so another thing too, I made a sweater basically that looks just like this with wool. It was the first sweater I ever made, the So Basic sweater by Maxim Cyr. But with that, if I made a little mistake, the wool covered it up. But here, little mistakes, they kind of pop a little bit. I mean, if you see them, you'll know. And I'm not too worked up about that. I don't really care, as long as they are, in fact, little. But yeah. So I'm just learning a whole lot about what it is to work with linen, and how it plays, how it lays, how it works up. And it, like I said, is giving me a little more, sorry, I don't want to put this up, a little more stretch than I thought it would get at first because of the stockinette. But anyway, what I'm going to do though is, I forgot to continue with my original point. The lacy bits, this yarn was not right for it. So also in the end, I realized, oh, I leave on July 10th. I've got about 2.5 weeks to finish this. I've never finished a top in 2.5 weeks. That seems quite ambitious. But like I said, I have time once school is out. So I'm going to keep at it, and I'm going to try to finish it. And when I do get it done, I'm sitting on it. When I've got the whole thing finished, what I want to do is I want to embroider or do needlepoint. I don't know. I'm going to get an image of one of the animals from the cave, an aurochs or a horse or something like that, and I want to put that emblazoned here. So, and I'm gonna sew it in with needlework techniques, which I don't have because I've never done that before. So, in my with this piece, the muse for it is the caves. It is our ancestors who, for whatever reason, decided that they needed to, it was important to them. Oh, sorry, I thought I wasn't recording because the computer just went black, but it's back. So anyway, as I was saying, I want it to be something that honors our ancestors who, despite the difficulties of life at that time, survival, catching food, eating it, something in them moved them to paint these incredible images, and they really are incredible. You should look them up if you haven't already. As I said, I will put a link. But there's just that thing inside us. Perhaps it's what makes us human. Perhaps it's what makes us different than other creatures. But that ability to create, that ability to be creative, to participate in creation, and I wanted to wear something there that would honor that aspect of the human spirit. And that is what I'm going to hopefully do, which is why I'm going to do this technique, embroidery, which I've never done before. Why not? Just do it, right? But I am going to go to, probably tomorrow or Tuesday, to the West Village Knit and Needle yarn shop, because they do specialize in needlepoint there, and the woman who runs it has tried to get me to do it in the past, but when she did, I was like, oh, that looks nice. Maybe one day. Just it wasn't speaking to me at that moment, but it's speaking to me now. So I'm going to go and ask for some tips and see what I can do, and maybe get I don't even know the right terms, but canvas. I don't know. I see people with those little frames and things to pull it, and so one of those, and ask her opinion on what I'm even imagining is possible. I think it should be. But anyway, yeah, so that's coming up in just a couple of weeks. And so by the next time, well, I'll try to do another episode before I go if I have something to say. But if not, then as soon as I get back, I'll do another one for you, and I will tell you all about the trip, and I will show you what has become of this linen shirt. And if it's actually also as cool, I mean, temperature-wise, as I'm hoping it will be. Maybe it's a lie. Maybe people have been telling me that linen is cool and it's not. Maybe it's going to be really hot. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, next. Oh, yes. Since I was focused so much on art today, this is not a whip. It's not a finished object. It's just an idea that I have had for a while, but also now that I have my handy Vogue Knitting Stitch Dictionary, I am going to use that to come up with another new sock pattern, and it's going to use Josh from Blue Fiber Company, his Starry Night yarn. This is also like the Wool and Women's yarns. This is an 80% merino, 20% cashmere. It's going to be a luxurious sock. But anyway, it's in the colors that are dominant in Van Gogh's Starry Night painting. So what I want to do, since that painting lives here in New York City, I got to go to the painting, right? I've got to take this, I've got to do some pictures and filming there, and then I've got to make a sock, and then I've got to, do some fancy footwork with the painting. Maybe I'll lay on the floor and lift my feet up and wave them in front of the painting until some docent comes and removes me from the museum. But you know what? As long as they don't bar me from life for life, then it'll be worth it. We'll see what happens. This, I should also say, is UV reactive, so I can also wear these to a club with black lights and also lay on the floor and do that with my feet, and that will be very exciting. So first I've got to find the right stitch combo in the book and work with that and figure that out. So that'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. So my muse for that is Van Gogh himself. A couple of years ago, I read a biography of his, and actually more words on biographies here in a moment, but such a sad life, but a fascinating life, a tortured kind of life, but a beautiful, beautiful soul for sure. And if you get a chance, find a copy of his letters to his brother Theo. Their correspondence is really fascinating, really touching, and gives you a nice insight into the artist's mind. Okay, was that it? I think so, except for the fact that I said more about biographies. So this is my book recommendation for today, besides Van Gogh's Letters to Theo. But I just finished listening to, on Audible, the book How to Live. And it is a biography of Montaigne, and it's by Sarah Bakewell. So I was listening to this because, as I told you, the trip that I'm doing starts in Bordeaux. So it starts in Bordeaux, but then goes through the Dordogne region and then through Burgundy or Bourgogne and over to Paris. So kind of do a... See there, I'm doing it again. I'm doing the spinny hand thing. That's our route. And anyway, I wanted to read some things that would introduce me to writers of these regions, or to just... I always do this whenever I travel anywhere. I want to know a little more about the literary culture of the place. So I just went online and was like, Bordeaux, who are famous writers from Bordeaux? And I saw, the first one that comes up is Montaigne. And I knew of him, but I didn't know much. And I knew that he was famous for writing essays. I think a part of me way back when knew that he invented the form of the essay. But I hadn't really read them. Maybe I'd read one back in college, but it's been a long time. So I thought, oh, okay. So let me listen to this bio. And it was so fascinating. Like, you really, really need to listen to it. It's called How to Live, because that's kind of the center question that he's addressing in all of his essays. And much like this Mingled Yarncast that has rambled into all these different topics, that's kind of what he does. He may start an essay on a topic, but then before he even gets to the topic, he's hit all these other completely unrelated things, but in a way that rambles meaningfully. And isn't that just like life? So the author, kind of compartmentalizes the different ways he answers that question, how to live, and looks at his own life, but also looks at the life of the book itself. And that's what I think is really, really fascinating, the way that because I should have said he's writing throughout the 1500s. His entire life, I think, takes place in the 16th century. So in the past 450 years that these essays have existed, people have reacted to them differently. How people took them at the time was one thing, but then the era of religious wars starts to happen, and then you get the Enlightenment era, and those people reacted a different way. That in each era, including our own, people take from it what they want, the parts that are relevant. But the interesting thing is that throughout these past 450 years, everyone's found something relevant. So I think you will too. I know I did. And now I'm reading the essays themselves and enjoying it. Not the whole thing, though, because it's a doorstopper of a book. But an abridged version, of which there are many, many, many. In fact, there's a whole chapter on the different abridgments because there's scandal involved. And it's kind of interesting. So anyway, if you want to nerd out on some fun literary stuff, I definitely recommend How to Live, The Life of Montaigne. And I hope that when I go there, I will get to see possibly his tomb, if I can get away. This is part of a tour that I'm on, so I don't know yet what kind of free time I will have and where I'll be when I have it. So, but I do want to see that, and yeah, just any remnants of him, his life, his works that are around the town. Okay, so that has us at just over half an hour, huh? Okay, perfect timing, I think, for this return to the podcast after 2 months away. Thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed it, please do subscribe. Definitely leave comments. As I said, I want to know what inspires you, what artwork, what music, what artists, who are the people that you've drawn inspiration from for your own knitting. Okay? I will see you all next time. Be well.